Hello. First of all, if I look tired, it's because I am. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, but my kids, they're asleep. I have a bit of time, so I wanted to make this video because I wanted to do it for ages. So today we're going to look at how to create quite nice dynamic titles for your visualizations, or can be used in labels. So it's basically this. As you can see on my screen here, we have a visualization and it's displaying the name of these footballers. It's displaying the name because I have basically taken the data from the players' names from a column and I put it into a card. This is a very basic way of doing it. What we want to do is create something that displays a lot more precisely what we have selected within a hierarchy slicer. So another example on the other side of my screen is what we want to create. This one says all players because the measure that I've created, I've told it to do that. If I were now to do the following and click on midfield, it would show me mid. This is very straightforward. If I were to do this and click also on goalkeepers, it would show me goalkeepers, which is also somewhat straightforward, but getting a little bit more complex. Show forward, show more forward. If I also click on defender, now it's going to say multiple positions selected. So we're kind of building up the functionality inside this this title, this label. I'm going to take that one step further. What I want to show is now if I'm going to select on a player, it's going to select the player as you see on the other visualization. And it does the same thing for player names. This time if I do 4, it's going to show all 4. One more, little player selected. But the really cool part, the part that I really enjoy, is that if I were to do this, select all my midfielders, and then select just one goalkeeper. I did that wrong. I didn't press control. We'll try it again. If I were to select all of my midfielders and then one goalkeeper, it's then going to go back to multiple players selected because it understands, of course, that I haven't just chosen all goalkeepers or and all midfielders. It is all midfielders and one goalkeeper. So we can really a lot more precisely define what we're showing inside these titles. Power BI is very good at working with dynamic titles. I really enjoyed that part. So it's not a particularly complex thing, but I think it's good fun and it's very helpful. I hope you agree. If you don't, probably stop watching really. If you do, then keep watching. We're going to go to some DAX and we're going to show how we achieved what I just showed. Very basically put, for each level in your hierarchy slicer, you need a measure. I have pre-written my measures because I'm really bad at typing, and the world does not need to see that. So I've pre-written my measures and I'll just paste them in and then we'll go through them all. So my first measure is going to be on the player level. You can do whatever order you want at this point, but yeah, the player level. So what I want to do is, I made a mistake immediately, so I'm going to correct that and do an underscore here, and I'll do an underscore here. That's a bad start. We'll move on. So, yeah. So what we want to do is basically create two variances. First one, second one. The first one is saying count the rows of the values of the names of the players in the table, of course, in which the names exist. So as you can see here, variance 1, count rows, values in the table. Really a straightforward thing. And the second one is saying concatenate x, the values of the name of the player, again with a comma. And this is just the concatenation of the comma so that you can separate the values out. So it's not just like a long list. It just looks good, basically. And here we are saying return. Return if this count, if it's greater than 4, say multiple players selected, which we just saw when I was clicking on all the players. We got to 4, it showed all the player names. We got to 5, it showed multiple players selected. This is exactly what we've written here. If it's not greater than 4, show this variance. And that variance is the concatenation of all the players that are selected with a comma. So player, comma, player, comma. So what we're getting works. We have to do that again, but we have to do it this time on the positions. So the midfield, goalkeeper, forward, defender. And it's identical to this, other than the fact that it pointed to a different column and table. What we do. So we create that first measure, the player selection. And now my second one is going to be position selection. And as you can see, this is what we have. Exactly the same as before, but pointing to a different table. Variance count equals count rows, values, player's position. Exactly the same as we had before. Second variance, concatenate x, the values, player's position, with a comma. So midfield, comma, goalkeeper, comma. If the count is greater than 3, multiple positions selected. Else this, which is the concatenate x of the selected values. So you can see how it works. I mean, it makes sense. The logic is there. It's really quite a straightforward thing. And that's what we like about this, that it is straightforward, but for me, it really adds a nice element to the reports, you know. And so I have my second measure now, which is the position selected. The final part is the coolest part and equally straightforward, if not even more straightforward than what we just did. This one is the hierarchy. So we have two measures in their own right, and now we're going to bring those things together into a hierarchy. And it is going to be cool. Well, it's going to be what I've already showed you, which I think is cool. Hierarchy selected. So the really thing to note here is it's important that the order in which you create this is inverse. So by that I mean you have to start writing your measure with the lowest level in the hierarchy. Yeah, so my lowest level is my player selection, and above that I have my position selection, as you can see actually in, of course, the slicer itself. So yeah, the bottom row has to be the highest level and the top row has to be the lowest level. So as I say, it's just inversed. So if is filtered this, the name, then give me the values from player selection. Else if is filtered players, the positions, then show me position selected. Else all players. So if neither are filtered, show me all players. which is what we can see right here, because it says all players. So you've seen it work, and you've seen the visualization, you've seen the measures that we've created, and we bring those together in this measure, and it works. So obviously this is one that I already had created, this all players. But for the sake of finishing all this off nice and tidily, I'll just put what we just created into our measures. So we have our hierarchy selected as we just created, but also what we have is our player selected, and we have our, it's getting quite messy now, position selected. We can get rid of this one, we don't need this one anymore. Let's make it clearer by switching on some category labels. Beautiful. So player selection, position selection. So if I now go to defender, here we have defender because it's position selected. It's true. This one, the final, the goal of what we're doing here reflects the same value. I go here and I click here. This one says, and this is your benefit here. This one says defender and forward, which is not correct because we haven't selected all the forwards. This one says multiple players selected, and this one says multiple players selected. So this one's correct and this one's correct, yeah? But now this one's correct and this one's correct and this one's not correct. Essentially it is correct because we have selected multiple players, but we can be more precise, and this is what's precise. So as you can see here with these two examples, the only one that's correct all the time is this one, because we've brought those measures together and we've created something that combines the correctness of this one and the correctness of this one to something that is always correct. And I think that is cool. And of course you can also use this sort of thing in the title of the visualization. So if we go and switch on the title, it's going to reflect what's in here as well, because I've already done that. So yeah, as I say, very straightforward, but adds an element to the report which I think is really enjoyable, and just nice for your user. And if you're a little bit nerdy like me, it's just fun to do. So I hope you get some out of this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit. If you watch this and you think, yes, I already know how to do that, actually I know how to do it in a better way, then cool, please let me know. Because as I just said, learning is always good and fun. And thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that, and until next time, goodbye.